Hey, party people. It is early in the morning and I'm very, very sleepy. Um, Tired, I don't know, whatever. I keep getting these same questions from my family and other people. Like, if you were trans, why didn't you realize it sooner? You're not trans because you didn't realize it when you were a kid. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm thinking, you can realize you're trans when you're 60 years old. It doesn't make you any less trans throughout your whole life, but okay. Um, that aside, I started thinking to myself, why didn't I realize I was trans when I was younger? Aside from the fact that I had never really heard about it, so I didn't know it was a thing, and I couldn't identify with something I didn't know existed. But, like, I did have certain struggles, but I didn't put too much emphasis on it. Being non-binary, I kind of felt more out of place than I did feel like wrong. Um, and there were things that bothered me, but in all honesty, I was kind of nosy. I always had I'm probably still do. I always have myself in somebody else's, well, not right now, actually. I don't really have too many friends and I'm not really around a lot of people. But, growing up, I always wanted to have friends and I always wanted to be around other people and I still am. I'm very concerned. So even in high school, like, does anyone know, like, does anyone ever go to the mall and like, that one mom that has two kids, that she's kind of got one kid here and she's grabbing the other one by the arm and she's like, as she walks and she's got them both and she's trying to walk, like, funny, like she's got one here and holding the other one by the arm and she's dragging them through the mall. That was kind of me throughout high school with other people, because I hated to see other people being bullied, and I hated when, like, I knew they were gonna get into a problem and I kind of had to, like, let them get themselves into the problem, and then they'd come to me for help and I had to kind of drag them out of the muck, and I'm like, you see, this is why you don't do that, this is why you listen to mama. And they're like, I'm sorry, mama. And I was like, don't say sorry to me. Why are you sorry to me? I was trying to help you and you were mean to me. And they were like, I didn't mean to. I should have listened. And I was like, well, now you know. And that was kind of like my whole life. Even I remember in 5th grade, I was always so concerned about people that my 5th grade teacher, she used to call me Mama Teresa. She was actually funny. Her name was Miss Butler, and she used to tell me that when I was famous, that if I didn't recognize her, she'd find me and shoot me in the kneecaps. So if I ever write a book, or if I ever become a famous artist or whatever, I'm gonna have to give her some credit somewhere in that book, because I do not want her to shoot me in the kneecaps. Um, but yeah, like, I've always just been caring about other people. So I really, even now, it's hard for me to kind of stay focused on myself. And maybe it's because I don't like myself. Maybe, I don't know, maybe that's what it is. My dad was like, you just need to love yourself. And I'm like, well, maybe I just never liked myself and that's why I always focus on other people. I don't know. Or maybe it's just because I always thought I had a heart for other people, and I really think that's part of it. I care about other people, like, a lot. And I just really, it's hard because I want to put others before myself always, but I don't want to do it selfishly. I don't want to do it because I want to feel good. I want to do it because I want to help people. And so it's kind of hard. Like, I always question myself, like, am I doing this for me? Like, so that they thank me? Or am I doing this, like, so that they can actually be helped? And it's very confusing. So then it's like, well, if I don't do it, sorry, I'm tired. Oh gosh, sorry. But then, like, if I don't help them, then it's, like, so rude. But I'm like, am I helping them for me? Or do I really even care? Like, so it's hard for me now. It's kind of something I've noticed more now. But, yeah, I don't know. And I just kind of ignored the stuff that happened to me. My parents were divorced. Or not really divorced, they were not really together. They were always kind of separate since I was little. Even though it sucks to have separated parents when you're little, the good thing is that you don't really have to go through like this bad, nasty divorce after they've been together for, 10 years or whatever. My friend's parents are separating now that she's like away, and it's really painful to watch it because I know that watching them split up has really hurt her a lot. And I didn't have to go through that, but I do have separated parents, so I do know what that's like. And it's kind of hard for me to relate to her. And I don't know, we've always been on the same page. And that's a person that I'm always gonna genuinely help, not for me, but for her because I love her a lot. But just I had so many other things going on when I was younger. Everybody knew me as like this goody goody, and I was not that I didn't want to be a good person. Like that's the whole thing. I want to be a good person, but being called a goody goody really annoyed me because I was like, look, I can. It's not that I can't do something bad. I can. I just don't want. Like I'm making the active choice not to, and people started making decisions for me. Like, oh no, she's not going to do that, and I'm like, who the hell said I'm not? Like people started like again thinking things about me that weren't true and like making things up about me in their head and looking at me a certain way and like getting carried away and making decisions for me that I didn't agree with, and I was really annoyed by that. And I kind of have the same problem now because I'll tell them something and no one listens to me. So I seem to be having the same problem over and over and over again. No one listens to me. I don't know why. Why don't you listen to me? So that really annoyed me. And I had my dad when I was younger. I always had friends that were boys. When I was younger, I used to always play with the boys. Like all in elementary school, I only had friends that were guys. I maybe had like one or two friends that were girls that I would like talk to, but never really hang out with. It's just at some point everybody separated you into girl and boy lines, and I would always get pissed off like why can't I go with the boys? Like those are my friends over there. Like I hated being with the girls. But at some point you got to talk to them, so you're like, okay, and so you find people that you can talk to. But always 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 I was with the guys. And I would watch over them too. Again, the teachers would be like, "What happened? Is he okay?" And I'd be like, "Well, this happened and I think he's okay." And they would, when I was younger, it wasn't too much of a problem. For the most part, they would treat me like one of the guys. Like I wasn't really a big problem. It was kind of a problem when you got, well, she's a girl, she can't do that. And I was like, well, why not? And again, I always thought I was just like a feminist. I always thought, which I am. I am a feminist. Not a misogynist, not a misandrist. Yes, that's right, misandrist. I'm not misandrist. I'm a feminist. I believe in equality for all. And I always just kind of thought that was what my issue was. And then my dad always had a problem with me being with guys. If I told him, oh, I have this friend, and why are you talking to boys? And I was like, I don't know. I sometimes like I would like switch their names. I would like make up names or say like she or be like this kid, and I'd try to use gender neutral. Even as a little kid, I was using like gender neutral terms because I didn't want my dad to find out I was talking to boys, and I didn't understand why he had this problem with me talking to boys, and I didn't understand why I couldn't like go to sleepovers, and I didn't understand why me having so many guy friends was like a bad thing. And then going to middle school, again, I had two friends that were girls and they were solid friends, and then all my other friends and acquaintances were dudes. Every single one. And that was my first year. Then I switched schools, so that that's kind of hard. And I started getting really depressed because I was being bullied. Just because I was different, and it wasn't so much I was acting like a boy. It was just I was different. I was really different, and I was kind of fortunate enough that that was where I really started learning in seventh grade was all these different types of things towards like the middle end. I met a person named Jordan, and they became like my best friend, and they actually ended up being a really toxic person in my life. But because I met that person and because I made friends with their friends, who I still know to this day, those friends from middle school were pretty awesome and they're pretty accepting. And some of them cause problems, and I kind of like to put the past in the past now, but because I did meet those people, and because Jordan was so into LGBTQ rights and knew so many people and so many things, I was able to kind of learn a little bit. And that's when I kind of realized, hey, maybe I'm not straight. This is a little bit concerning. And I still didn't really think so much about being trans because no one really talked too much about being trans. But people did talk about like gender bend, and I was like, oh man, like I want to do that. And I got into like the whole anime subculture, and that's really what I was being picked on for, was because I liked, things that were different. I wasn't like the popular kids, and everybody on this bus was like a popular kid. And so everything I kind of said didn't really make sense to them. I didn't get the things that they were saying. Like, I was like, that sounds gross, or that sounds terrible, or why are you doing that? That's dangerous. And, like, oh my gosh, that does not sound like a good idea. But I never really told them, oh, you can't do that. But they kind of looked at me, and instead of being like, oh, that's odd, like kind of like I was to them, they were like, you're a freak, and why are you doing this? And you can't do that. And oh, why aren't you dressing up like a girl? And why aren't you blah 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 blah? And in my mind, I was like, am I supposed to be wearing makeup and getting guys? And I was like, what? And that's when I kind of really wasn't making sense. And, even when I was little, I never really like, my mom said that she would dress me up as a kid, and I would do it kicking and screaming, and she'd leave and come back, and I had the bow taken off, the dress was half off. Even as a little kid, I didn't like dresses. And I had this thing with clothes. Even all throughout middle school, even in high school, my mom would tell me, like, wear this. And I'd be like, no, I'm not wearing, like, looking at it, I would get like, huh, like, that's disgusting. Like, I'm not wearing that. No, just no. And I couldn't understand why it was. And I thought maybe it was the material. But my mom would get me stuff that was soft. And I'm like, no, no, I can't. I can't wear that. Nope, nope, I'm not doing it. And she'd get into fights with me and make me wear these clothes that I was just like it's one of those things where I was wearing it, but like if the cloth touched me, I'd be like, oh my gosh, no, like I need this off. And my mom would be in like arguments with me, and I'd be like, why, the whole day. And then when I was older, she'd get me clothes, and I'd be like, oh, okay, I can wear that. And then 2 weeks later, I'd be like, it'd be maybe some event for me to wear this dress or outfit or whatever, and be like, nope, not doing it, not wearing it again, can't do it. And they'd be like, my mom would look at me like I was effing crazy, and my mom would be like, there's nothing wrong with that outfit. Be like, yes, there is. It doesn't fit me. It doesn't fit me anymore. You wore it 2 weeks ago, mom. I can't. Like, there's just something wrong with it. I can't do it. There's nothing. I just can't do it, mom. Okay, I'm sorry. And we get into arguments about that. And my mom kind of just thought I was weird because I was, towards the summer of after eighth grade, that's when I really got into art, and my mom thought, like, maybe I'm just artsy, and that's why I'm different, and, I've always kind of thought I was just a tomboy, and everyone kind of labeled me as a tomboy, and I was okay with that label. I liked that label, like, I felt comfortable, like, yeah, I'm just a tomboy, and, I found other tomboys, and I was okay, and that was normal, and I was like, oh, alright, and, I'm the girl who took 4 years of wood shop and welding, it's, that was kind of just what I was, and, I don't know, that's just kind of what I thought I was. And then I learned about transgender people, but I didn't learn about anything else, and I thought, well, I'm not that, like, I'm not a boy, so I was like, I'm not, like, because I really thought about it. I was like, I'm not a boy, at least, maybe I have, like, those days where kind of wish I was, or felt like I was, but not, I'm definitely, like, not a boy, like, I guess 365 days a year. Oh gosh, why am I so tired? And so I kind of, like, dismissed that. I was like, all right, well then that's not it. And so at that point I was realizing I was pan, and I was like, okay. And The bullying stopped when I quit the bus. So let's see, the bus stopped in 8th grade. So the bullying, like I stopped going on the bus like towards the end of 8th grade. So it went on for like 2 years. I was being bullied for 2 years, and I just got really depressed over that. So I really wasn't worried about my gender at that time, because I was just being bullied, and that's not cool, you know. And I was really, really depressed even after the bullying stopped. I was just really, really depressed until again I went to church and I found God, and my family started, coming back together, and my mom wasn't treating me like weirdo anymore, and that's when my mom kind of started to recognize, like, kind of accept that there was something odd about me, but not really. Like, she kind of still was trying to direct my life. Like, my whole life I had kind of felt like my dad treated me like a chess piece. Like, he just wanted me to do certain things and be a certain way. Like, you would move a chess piece on a board, like, you're gonna go here and you're gonna do this. And I was just kind of like, I was miserable, but I was like, okay. And then my mom wanted to treat me like a dress up doll, like, you're gonna wear this and I'm gonna take you here. And I was like, okay. And then I was really fighting with my mom because I lived with her, and I was just like, this, no, I'm not your dress up doll. I'm not doing this just because you said so. Just no, it doesn't make me feel okay, and I'm not gonna do it. And then my mom, again, just thought, hey, she's a little bit odd, and she was like, well, okay, you like art, then fine, because she didn't want me to go into art. She was like, anything but art at first, and then she kind of accepted and was like, all right, this is the route you're gonna go. And then she supported my decision to go to an art school, and she was mad that I wasn't looking at enough art schools. And then she was mad that I didn't want to go into advertising. She kept pushing me to go to advertising. I was like, no, I want to go into illustration. And then eventually she accepted that, and I was like, oh, well, good, we're done. Like, I don't have any more problems. No more problems. And I don't know, I just was still having these issues with clothes mostly. And my dad, but I kind of was letting that go, and I still didn't fit in, into school, but that was okay. Like, I had friends, and again, I was just okay with being this anime girl who cosplayed and was just weird. Like, I was okay with that. And then I went to college, and it was like, oh my gosh, this makes sense. Like, even hearing it, because I had heard the term first in high school, and I thought, well, that's really stupid. That doesn't make any sense. And then I had it properly explained in college, and I was like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. And then I went back home for a mini break, and I was like, watch me be gender fluid. And I was just like, oh my gosh. Like, as soon as I said it, I was like, and I thought of all this stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh. So that's the progression of how I really figured it out. And that's why I figured it out so late, because of all that stuff that happened. I was being bullied, my dad was put away, he came back out, and my parents were always separated, I was caring about other people. Like, again, I always had my nose in someone else's business, and people were coming to me with their problems. It wasn't always me looking for it. Sometimes it was like, oh my gosh, this happened and you have to fix it. And I was like, damn, not again. Like, what did I tell you? And I really felt like a mom. So, I just, those were the problems I was having. I, like, those were, took priority over me and my thoughts and what I was thinking. And really, I didn't want to think about myself. Even now, I really don't like being alone with my thoughts. So that's kind of the progression of how that happened. And, yeah, well, that's how it happened. So thank you for listening.